What is up, everybody? This is the Wild Nutrition Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Heskett, and this is episode 95. Today's guest is back on. She's been on before. Her name is Makena Romagano. She's a coach just like myself. And before we talk to her a little bit more about faith-based coaching, today she's been living in the UK for the past just about 6 months when this episode's coming out. So we're going to talk about tips for staying in shape while traveling. Also, some of the eye-opening experiences she's had that help keep Europeans healthy versus Americans, and kind of tips that she's taking from Europe to apply to her American and Canadian clients to help them stay in better shape and improve their health. And of course, since she's a good friend of mine, we talk about a bunch of other stuff on this podcast. With that being said, let's get into it with Makena. What's up, Makena?
Hello.
Welcome back for another episode on the podcast.
I'm so excited to be here.
So since last time, which it's been a while, you've had a few things go on. So one, you're now living in the UK.
Yeah, just packed up and moved my stuff to, I guess, across the pond. Currently, I guess, like in London, but just bopping around. Just got back from Copenhagen a couple days ago, headed to Morocco and then Barcelona and then back to the States, because if you're in the UK, you can't stay here for too long. So my 6-month clock is ticking.
Morocco's going to be cool.
Oh, I'm so excited for Morocco.
So
yeah, Marrakesh.
That's going to be awesome. That's a bucket list place.
Yeah, for sure.
Where have all the, I know you were in Germany for Oktoberfest, which is another bucket list place for me. Where all have you been?
So I did a couple of day trips from London, like Brighton. I did actually all Ireland and Scotland. Done Cambridge. I'm going to do Bath and then probably Canterbury, which is just like little day trips. But then actual trips, I've done Ireland, Scotland, Paris, Germany, and then Copenhagen, and then soon Marrakesh and Barcelona.
Nice. What's been like the biggest change going from the US to living in the UK for you?
Everybody asks me that, and I feel like it's going to be something super stupid simple. They drive on the wrong side of the road, and they don't have air conditioning, really. So the driving on the wrong side of the road has gotten me, it's gotten me a couple times, because when you cross the street, I walk everywhere. When I cross the street, I tend to look the opposite direction. So like a car is coming from the other way and I turn the opposite way because they're coming from the wrong side, to me at least. So I've just gotten really good at looking both ways, but that's been an adjustment. But also the AC is definitely got here in the heat of summer. The other thing I will say though is portion sizes. So much different, and that's something I had to get used to as a girl who eats a lot of food, is the portion sizes are a lot smaller here. Just across the board. Food's not bad. People say the food's bad. Food's not bad. The portion sizes are just something to get used to. And I have to haul my groceries. I don't know if you see my stories of me like genuinely hauling my groceries like a mile. It's like 30 pounds of groceries. Yes, because I don't know how to shop every like day or so. I go like once a week like I did in the States, and I don't have a car. So just hauling that like 30 pounds a mile when it's raining is just not a fun look. So yeah.
Well, I guess the food's not good when you compare it to the short trip across the channel there to Paris. Like if you're comparing.
Well, yes, and there's only so much food you can do in Paris. It's the same stuff again and again, which like I love London because there's culture everywhere. The Indian food here, unmatched, truly unmatched. Oh my gosh, it's delicious. Like very, very good. But I just had so much good food here of different cuisines. And I did go to Paris. The food was okay. It's just, it might be a hot take, but I hate Paris.
A lot of people say Paris sucks, but that it's like the rest of France. Like I don't really want to go to Paris. I want to visit France.
Yes.
I want to visit like Normandy. I want to go down across the Mediterranean. Like Paris,
not so much.
Nah, we'll stop in, I guess, because you kind of get there from train and stuff. But
yeah, just see the Eiffel Tower, take a picture,
move on.
That's all you gotta see.
I'm not that interested in Paris, but the rest of France, I'm like, I definitely want to go explore.
Yes.
So I want to backpedal a little bit. The two things: one, I know for here in America, why like you can see people in the UK eating whatever they want, or the French eating whatever they want one, it's the portion sizes, which is something I've read about, but also their cities and even a lot of their towns and stuff are very walkable because you walk everywhere.
Yes. And that is something that I've heavily noticed. I eat a lot of food naturally. Just I'm a growing girl. I say that with like irony, I guess, but I just eat a lot of freaking food. Like I just my maintenance is like 2400. I'm not tracking. I haven't been tracking for like I want to say 8 months now. Just eating intuitively. My physique has stayed the same. If anything, it's improved. And I eat like a loaf of bread every 2 days. Like genuinely, and I'm celiac, so gluten-free bread, blah blah blah. But still, a loaf of bread every 2 days. I eat so much. I say pasta, however you say it. I eat so much pasta. I have
There's
so much rice.
the
There it is.
Boston
Yeah.
accent.
I eat so much food in general. And so for me, like coming here and I'm like, I'm finishing a loaf of bread in 2 days. Like the old me, where I had like a disordered relationship with food and just like really not feeling content with how I viewed food as a whole. That for me was like, oh my gosh, like I can't touch bread. Now I'm having a loaf of bread in 2 days. Like I guess, growth of mindset is huge. But yes, I eat pastries most weeks of my life when I'm here. I go out for dessert most days of my life. Like anywhere that I can get food, I will get food. And that's not because I'm walking it off or not because I'm burning it off, but because my relationship with food is better. And yes, I do have to eat even more because I am walking so much. Which is a blessing and a curse. I will say I spend most of my days walking to different places instead of driving, which is awesome. And I still need more energy for that as well. So I will say the portion sizes are different, but I still eat so much food purely because I know my body needs it. My metabolism has been restored so I can utilize all that food that I'm eating. And it's just delicious food. And I'm not going to say no to some pastries or gelato. Like, there's just no way.
No way. But that it brings up an interesting point because when you come, you'll notice it a lot when you come back to the States is you can't walk unless you're in a city. You can't really walk anywhere. Like for me, downtown is a mile away and technically you could walk it and people do. I don't recommend it. It's a good way to get taken out because there's no sidewalk. Like it is right there. The elementary school my girls will go to is less than a quarter mile away. You can walk it. It is a straight, like literally at the end of our road is the elementary. Like it is a T, it pops right out. There it is.
That's how I grew up too, was walking to school. And that was amazing. And I feel like that's something that we definitely lost as a culture. Yeah, if it's something like 2 miles away, I'm like, oh, I'll walk it. Like if I'm here, it's just easier that way. I was walking with a friend the other day and he was like, yeah, it's just like an hour walk. I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's walk for an hour to go home. You know, it's just like normal, casual things that it's just the lifestyle and how they view things is a little bit different here, which is awesome. And like at the same time, it's kind of making me realize how hard it is to hit a step goal in America. Like I did it for years. I'm been here for like less than 5 months at this time. And I've already noticed the cultural changes of like, I wish I would walk more. And like getting 8K steps at home is so hard. I was in Copenhagen last week. I walked 15 miles a day. Like just things are a little bit different in how they view things. And that's why people, even like the Dutch, first of all, they are the most fine specimen of human beings I have ever seen in my entire life. Like going to Copenhagen, I was just like staring at the Dutch people. Like they could have been in a museum. Like genuinely picture perfect. Their skin is amazing. They're super healthy. They're fit. You can tell they take care of themselves. They also speak perfect English. I'm just hyping them up right now, but they deserve it. Amazing culture. So cool. They bike everywhere and like super active, and that's just built into their lifestyle. So yes, I will say that is one thing that Europeans have down is the active lifestyle 100%.
There's a German TikToker, and I love seeing his reels because it's like classic like German stuff. It's like with a German hike, like hiking with a German, and it's like how much further? It's like, oh, it'll be a short hike, 8 miles up a mountain. Like, wait, what? Yep. Yeah, that's 8 miles up, 8 miles back. Short hike.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's so cool, like just the differences of how they view things. It's like, oh, it's just a quick hike or it's just a quick one. Like, but it's for Americans, it's like, oh my gosh, that's like half of my day. You know what I mean?
Well, that was
the outlook is very different.
When we went on our cruise in what was that, March? Yeah, March this past year. When we were staying down in Baltimore, there's this really nice coffee shop. It was like mile and a half from our place. I didn't feel like getting the car out or anything. I was like, I'll walk. It's like along the inner harbor. It'll be a nice walk. It's a safe area. And the rest of my wife's family was like, that's really far just for coffee. I was like, it's just a mile. Like,
Yeah.
so a mile
Yeah.
there, enjoy your coffee, walk a mile back. Like, what else are we doing? We're like, we like
Yes.
did stuff and then we're just waiting. Where I was like it's in the morning. My girls had us up at like 7 a.m. So I'm like, we're just going to be waiting till we can get over there at 11. Like, what are we going to do, guys? I'm going to go over
Yeah.
there.
It's a perspective shift for sure. Like for us, like a mile walk is really far, but like
Yeah.
for the Europeans, a mile walk is really close. It really is that just perspective shift of, okay, what am I going to do with my time and what's worth my time instead of, oh, I have to squeeze in a walk or I have to go to the gym or I have to do this. It's more of like, I get to. And same thing with the coffee shops. Like I got the Pret subscription, which Pret is just a coffee shop here, which we need something like this in the States. I will say that I will create it if it needs to be created.
Business
It's a
idea.
coffee. Literally, though, somebody take this from me, please, and do it because I need this. It's a coffee subscription. So you can get 5 drinks a day for like 15 pounds, which is like roughly like 18, 19 bucks a month. And it's 5 drinks a day. I go there. They have Wi-Fi. They have bathrooms. I just sit and I work. Coffee's not great, I will say, but it's just like the vibes are great. There's different kinds of drinks and like matchas and hot chocolate and whatever you want for 5 drinks a day for like 15
5
pounds.
a day.
Yeah, 15
Like,
pounds. But like the next month it'll go up to 30. But still, like I'm saving so much money and it gets me out of the house in like more in like a co-working kind of area. But yeah, like I'll walk to a Pret, I'll walk another mile to another Pret, I'll walk another mile to another Pret. That's my day. I just like Pret hop. It's just been so fun.
I mean, we dropped like $20 getting
Oh,
two
easy.
drinks here at the
Easy.
coffee shop. So like that's 5 a day. Now you said that's just like matcha, hot chocolate,
Matcha, hot
coffee.
chocolate, they have coffee, they have teas, they have I'm just like an ad for Pret right now. They have like these things that are like the Starbucks, I guess, like lemonades or whatever they're called, but they have
Like the refreshers.
mojito one. Yeah, kind of thing like that. So good, so delicious. Pumpkin spice was a thing, which I actually my first pumpkin spice latte at Pret because it was free and I was like, why not? I hated it. Not a pumpkin spice fan. But yes, I love Pret, and that's something that's gotten me out of the house, walking more, and it's different than most coffee shops here. And I will say, circling back to like why I even did this in the first place was because like I wanted to work somewhere remote. And most coffee shops and like just the culture here is you get in, grab your coffee, and you sit down and you talk. So foreign to me. What do you mean? Like you don't go on your phone, you don't like, I don't know, do work, you don't like people just sit there and talk or read a book while they're drinking their coffee. When I first saw that and like a coffee shop didn't have Wi-Fi, I was like, well, what's the point? And then I see everybody else just sitting and having conversations like a normal human. And me in the corner, like the workaholic that I am, is like, what are you doing? Like, that's amazing that you
Can
can
you
just
pick
sit
the
down and
American
like
out of the crowd?
genuinely though. So like that's something that I think is amazing with their culture here and that I'm gonna try to take back. I'm just taking bits and pieces of how they view their like life and their style of living kind of because that's something that we need to bring to America is like the slower living, the more like intentional living. And I think that it definitely decreases stress, my
Oh
stress as
yeah.
well. And you digest food better. You are actually like chewing your food. You are getting accurate hunger and fullness cues. Like there's so much that goes into just a less stressful and more intentional way of living. And that just goes back to coffee shops and just walking and all the things, just being more aware of your surroundings because I often feel like even in America, like it's just blinders on and you just go throughout your day and you never look up. Whereas like the lifestyle in Europe, which London is a big city, I will say it's very diverse and a lot of different people and bustling culture and things, but still they take time to go and have coffee and just sit there, which is really cool.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. I
Speaking of
love it.
which,
I
I
need
have
to
my
bring,
coffee.
I know. Well, it's early for you there. That's for sure. I should not
It's
be
2.
having,
It's time for my afternoon coffee.
okay. Okay. I shouldn't be having any coffee. It's 7 o'clock here.
No,
So
you shouldn't have any coffee at this time. I'm like, right now, I'm like, I don't want to have it too late. Some days I'm bad and I have it at like 4 because I've been
you'll feel
so
it.
busy. I'm like, good thing I'm working out
Yeah.
later. That was yesterday. I'm like, oh, um, there's a book, and this is more for the listeners and less for you, McKenna, but there's a book called French Kids Eat Everything that I kind of opened up my eyes to more like European diet culture, but it also talked about cultural things, but also like the movement, like buying groceries every single day. She would
Yes.
walk to the farmer's market, like down a hill, then have to walk back up the hill with all the groceries. Like you're saying you're doing once a week. She was doing that every single day,
Oh, I have a
cooking fresh
story about
food.
that. Yes.
Yeah. Go
Yes.
ahead.
No, so there was a girl. So I've been trying to meet friends. So I went on this like there was this Facebook group, coincidentally enough, and I joined. And it was like the Lonely London Girls Club or something. And I went to an event that they had. It was like a rooftop bar situation. And I met a bunch of people, a lot of people that are like moving here recently or just whatnot. And I was talking to this one girl, and she obviously knew I was American and just talking about her road trip that she did in America, which I need to do a road trip in America. That's on my bucket list. So she was like, yeah, we were driving. It was like 2 weeks on the road. We bought tomatoes. And we bought tomatoes the first day we were on the road. And they looked the exact same by the second week of the road trip. And she was like, I was disgusted. I was like, what do you mean disgusted? I'm like, tomatoes, they just like tomatoes, right? She's like, if a European tomato were to do that, it'd be gone in like 3 days. Like, just the quality of the food that they have here is a lot higher. And not to say anything against American food, but like we all know American food isn't the best food in the world. No. And just like the preservatives and things they put in it has really raised my, I guess, realization of fresh fruit and vegetables obviously is great. We need them, but just like the European way of doing things, like a tomato should not last 2 weeks. And in my head, it was fine to last 2 weeks, but in everybody else in that conversation, they were like, yeah, no, tomatoes do not last that long. And that's just one example of just the differences here. People get groceries every single day. Like you said, the farmers markets are huge. There's like food stands everywhere. And it's just a little bit of a different culture. I see people, first of all, I see people walking down the street with like like a jug of milk after work. Like they'll pop it to like Tesco or something out after the tube, grab a jug of milk and then walk home. Which I think is amazing. And like more people in America, we don't have the accessible facilities to be able to do that, which is unfortunate, but it's just opening me up to like a different way of living, which I think is really, really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. In my garden, like I grow mostly heirloom tomatoes. Once they're ripe, you have like 3 days.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
they're spoiled, there's flies, and yeah, but they're so genetically modified that even without preservatives, they're designed to last a long time, which is great for solving like the hunger. But when you actually like look at the nutrient profile, we're seeing like vitamin C levels are down and these other vitamins and minerals are down. Like, great for like, yeah. So we're feeding more people, but for optimal health, it's getting a little bit harder here in America.
No, for sure. And that's something that I'm grateful for, to even just open my eyes to see the different side of things. Which has been really, really cool, I will say. And just the food culture here is very different than what I've seen in America with the fast food stuff. They actually do have a lot of KFCs, which I think is weird here. Like
that's hysterical.
Absurd amount of KFCs. McDonald's is here, Five Guys is here, but it's not near Subway. A lot of Subways. There's been 2 Chipotles that I've seen, and I have not caved yet to have Chipotle. I have not caved. But it's just the fast food culture is very different here than it is in America. And most things are like freshly cooked, or like there's a lot of street markets and things like that, which I think is a really going to be a culture shock for me going back to America.
Yes.
Because now I'm used to that. If I wanted something, I'll just go out and grab it instead of having to make like a whole trip of getting in the car and all that stuff. So
yeah. you'll cities are walkables.
Yes.
It just depends where you live.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Like where I live, Germany, it's not walkable.
Well, yeah. I mean, more in the country and stuff too. That makes sense. But even in Germany too, like I was in Munich and I walked around it's a city, of course. And I think even there, when it was like all different cultures and everything like that, it was really cool again to see like the food culture and the food scene. And I think that's something that I'm really going to take away. And going back to like, I went to Oktoberfest, which is on your bucket list. You need to go. Like,
I know.
Nothing in America, no Oktoberfest, no whatever they want to call it as like the knockoff is going to compare. I don't even drink beer. I was sober the entire event. I had apple juice. I
saw your stories.
Yep. Apple juice and Stein. Yeah, it was solid. Great. But genuinely, like nothing is going to compare to that. It was so fun, so amazing. And surprisingly, people are open to the idea of not drinking, which I thought was really interesting just because London and Germany, especially, like very big drinking places. Like I'll be walking down the street and then like in the Leadenhall Market, they'll just be like 500 men in suits at like 6 p.m. just all having a beer on the street. It's just normal. That's what you do. You grab a pint after work. It's just what it is. And so I was surprised to see, first of all, they're all really still pretty healthy, even though they drink every single day. Which that was kind of a shock to me as well. But they also are very open to the idea of being more sober. And like every menu that I've been to, every place that I've been to with a menu of like drinks, they always have options for like 0%, which I think
Interesting.
is really cool.
That is cool.
Was not expecting it because they're very alcohol heavy. Like every person that I've met here, like, I bet I could out drink you American. I was like, yeah, you can, because I really don't drink. So 100%. I had two drinks the other night. I was not well. I'm very much a lightweight, and I figured that out very quickly on, what was it, Sunday, I think. Yeah, 2 drinks and I was gone.
What did you drink?
Well, it was my fault. I had what was it? A mojito, and then I had a glass of white wine. It was within like 2 hours. Like I didn't take shots or anything.
Yeah.
Like, I literally was walking out and I like held the railing. I'm like, I don't like how I feel right now. And I've never been drunk and I don't really want to be per se. But I was just like, wow, I really am a lightweight and I should stick to my mocktails. So
yeah, nice. Like mojitos aren't even that strong. I mean, it's liquor, but
it was good. I love mojitos. That's something I do love. Mojitos and margaritas, if I were to have a cocktail, delicious.
Those are good. So I take it your mindset around food has continued to evolve since going there. You've probably continued to improve your relationship with food there.
100%. And I think even 4 years ago, when I was coming out of my eating disorder, and like, not even that, just figure out my relationship with food. Like 4 years ago, I was fine. I was like doing the dang thing that I had to do, eat the food, all the things, but I still didn't have a positive relationship with food. It was still pretty negative. I viewed food as good and bad. I viewed food as I should have this, I shouldn't have this. If I have dessert today, I can't have dessert tomorrow. If I eat late today, I have to fast in the morning. Like that kind of just thing was ingrained in my body and ingrained in me as a person. And I will straight up tell you, when I was in Copenhagen, I had 6 pastries in one day. I had 2 chicken breasts and 2 carrots. And that was my meal. That was my food for the entire day. And then I got a milkshake. Like, food freedom is something that I never genuinely, food freedom is something that I never thought I would actually experience. And so to be on the other side of it and be able to do all these things, realize my body didn't change at all. And I had that. And then I had, what did I have? I had my first real meal of Copenhagen was like a lentil stew. Delicious. It was so good. But that was my first real meal. 4 days, I was just snacking on pastries and just eating whatever I could get my hands on. And I never would have allowed myself to do that 3-4 years ago. Even in London too, gelato whenever I feel like it, or like the Borough Market, which is one of their biggest, I guess, I don't want to say farmers market, but like more farmers, I guess, ish market, where they have prepared food and things like that. They're known for these chocolate strawberries. It's literally a cup of strawberries there. It's the most divine thing I've ever had. And just pour chocolate all over it. Like there had to be at least probably half a cup of melted chocolate in that thing.
Oh,
I devoured amazing. That. Oh, it was heavenly. And didn't think twice about it. Like, not feeling guilty about the food that I'm eating never felt like it could be a reality for me years ago. And I think coming here and actually putting it into practice, because we can tell you all these things as coaches, we can tell you, oh, like food freedom is worth it. Like, but your body isn't going to change because you had a pastry and whatnot. But like, until you actually live that experience and have the tangible data in your own body that, oh my gosh, I had the ice cream and like the world didn't like combust. Like that data has to take time to come in and really rewire your brain that way. And fully immersing yourself in it is another way to go about it. But like bread and cheese, gluten-free bread, of course, for me, and cheese, like I go through that like it's genuinely nobody's business. Like I eat so much bread and cheese here because it's just easy, quick, and I'm getting what I need. I'm not tracking, I'm living my life, and my physique is maintaining because I've put in the work on the front end. So it's possible, and I didn't think it was, but I'm genuinely living proof of you don't need to track for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. How are you like coaching your clients through this? Because obviously you're having light bulb moments. So how is this translating to clients who are most likely back in the US?
Yeah. So it's more of just working on the mindset piece of it. Actually, my assistant coach, Mallory, she's doing more mindset work and more mindset certifications and more binge eating certifications and things like that, because everything really is like intertwined. And I think if we can get to the root of one thing, it's going to open up another can of worms, and et cetera, et cetera. And so I think if we can tailor the, I guess, experience to the client. So like for me, I'm in Europe. It's completely different. A lot of my clients on my roster actually are big travelers because that's just who I attract. Yeah. So I had a couple of clients who have been to Portugal in the last month. I had one client, she's like, hey, I booked a flight to Turkey next week. I'm like, okay, cool. Love that for you.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. And so like just spontaneous travel and things is just part of my lifestyle. It's part of their lifestyle. And so I've been implementing more of like a plan B for some of my clients. So one girl in particular, she is crushing it. The weekends, a little bit more hectic because she tailgates every single weekend. And so she's like, her fiance is vegetarian. Her family isn't really protein focused, and that's who she tailgates with. It's hard to bring protein on the road, et cetera, et cetera. So for her, she feels like a failure on the weekends because the weeks are so good, and then she quote unquote messes it up on the weekends, right? That's at least her thought pattern.
Yeah.
So we were able to figure out why she thinks she messed up on the weekends, because she has this unrealistic expectation of hitting her 150 grams of protein when it's actually legitimately not available for her on the weekends. So we created a plan B for her. So the weeks are her plan A, and then the weekends, she has her plan B. So when she hits that protocol, it's like, get her water in, get some steps in, hit 100 grams of protein and have a protein shake, bring some chicken, whatever it might be. Smaller and more quantifiable goals for her specific situation. So she feels like a success because she is doing something successful. It's not black or white. So I think it's defining what success looks like for that individual person. For somebody, it could be having the pastry. For somebody else, it could be saying no to the pastry. For somebody else, it could be just totally completely ignoring it. You know, like it depends on where you are in your food freedom journey, whether it's going to be triggering for you, not triggering for you, and like what you're going to need to get to your next step, because my next step is not your next step, is not Sally's next step. Like we all have individual journeys. And so not blanket statement like, oh, you should be able to have 6 pastries in a day and not feel guilty. Like somebody else that might genuinely, like me 4 years ago, thrown me into like cardiac arrest. Like I genuinely couldn't handle it. Like it would have like thrown me off track for like the next probably months if I were to do that, you know? So pushing our clients in the way that's going to be best for them, I think is the most important thing in my opinion, because if I tell them to have 6 pastries, and I would never do that, but like tell them to have 6 pastries in a day, and that would be so challenging for them that they would be paralyzed and they wouldn't feel like they could even like look at another pastry or whatever it might be for them. If that comes up too triggering, that's going to be the opposite of helpful for them. So for another client, afraid of bagels. Cool. Let's not start with a bagel. Let's start with an English muffin. Cool. Once you have an English muffin, let's start with a piece of bread, and just working our way up kind of that pyramid of fear in a sense, exposure therapy in a sense, I guess you could say, until we can kind of conquer that. And then eventually she'll have a croissant, and then eventually, or half a croissant, and then she'll have a full croissant. And then we'll kind of work our way up. And I'm not expecting her to come to Paris and just eat bread and cheese the rest of her life, but we're going to work kind of where she's at and work her way up. So we're not throwing her into the deep end. So it really is just meet you where you're at kind of thing. And knowing that the end is possible of where you want to go, it's just not going to be tomorrow.
Does one, I love that, but does, as people get more and more active, does that seem to help with their relationship with food, as they're like, oh, like I can eat this and it doesn't affect me, or I need to eat this because I'm fueling my body and my workout's going to suck if I don't?
The second one. And I think that's the biggest shift that people see when they start moving their body for the right reasons. In the beginning, I know probably for you as well, like when clients come and they're like, I'm doing 5 days of cardio, I'm burning this many calories, like my Apple Watch says I'm doing blah, 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 blah. I'm like, first of all, your Apple Watch is completely wrong. Like it's not telling you
the calories don't matter. Calories.
Exactly. Same thing with the elliptical. Like you're not actually burning that 700 calories in 10 minutes that it's telling you you're doing. It's not true. And like if we can disassociate calories from exercise, that's going to be the biggest win, because you're just going to end up being more active because you realize the mental benefits of it. And then that's going to in turn increase your hunger cues. We're going to then be able to eat more food. We're then going to be able to nourish your body. And that is what we're looking for. Not I burn 500 calories, I can have 500 calories, because that negative relationship with food. If you go on vacation for a week, if you can't track for a week, like you're going to be completely thrown off and probably more anxious than anything. Whereas for me now, and for my clients who aren't necessarily tracking or taking more free meals, we don't track for 8 months. We don't track for a couple meals. Like we're fine, because we've built up that trust within ourselves and our body that one meal is not going to throw us off. And overeating in this one thing is not going to cause us to undereat somewhere else. Like we're not compensating in any way. They go coinciding, like they're together. And it's not an if, it's you can have both. Like if I work out, then I get to eat, it's an and. I get to work out and I get to eat. Or if I don't work out and I can still eat. So it's not, I guess, this or this. We don't have to choose.
That's awesome. And as people become more and more active, their relationship improves. That drives them to want to become more active, because now there's more energy in the body, so they have more energy. So then they're more consistent with their workouts, or they work out more. And then they generally get more sleep because then at the end of the night, they're actually tired.
Yep, and they're not relying on caffeine in the mornings. Their sleep is better because they're getting their REM cycles and things like that. Like it is really just like a cascading effect of 1, 2, 3, and we can't get to the third step. Like we can't improve your sleep if we don't actually make sure your like stress is reduced. We can't improve your sleep if that's the issue. If you're not eating enough food, you're probably not actually nourishing your body enough. If you're grinding in the gym and not fueling yourself, like that's an issue too. So it's not just, oh, my sleep is the issue. Okay, how do I fix sleep? Like melatonin and all these supplements. Like, no, if you're not eating enough food, like we're not going to load you up on supplements. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So changing gears a little bit, staying kind of on the same theme, your activity level in Europe, how are
Yeah.
you trying to translate that to your clients? Because I know for me personally, when I went from an in-person trainer, my typical day was 12 to 15,000 steps. And then a
Yeah.
really busy day, I was pushing 20,000 steps. That was not including my workout because I would take my watch or my phone off of me for my workout. And then when I go to here, I'm like, man, kind of like you, like 8,000 steps is tricky. So I've gone
Yeah.
from that where I could eat basically whatever I want to this where, okay, now I need to watch my diet more. And I actually have to be intentional with my movement. Otherwise, I'm going to work from home and sit on my butt all day. So
Yeah.
what have you taken from your lessons and translated over to your clients living in the United States?
Yeah, for sure. And so I think that is like a fivefold answer if you want to go that way. But like the biggest thing is that I see that a lot with athletes. After you stop doing college athletics, whether you were a high school athlete and gained all the weight during college or a college athlete and then gained all the weight after, like that's a typical thing with athletics because usually when you are a college athlete or whatever level you were at, you could eat whatever you wanted because you were so active and your body just was like guzzling up the fuel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yep.
now that we're transitioning to more just like a maybe 9 to 5 job, or like you do only go to the gym 4 times a week and that's pretty much your primary form of movement, we do have to adjust your nutrition accordingly, not because you don't earn the food. That's not why. It's because your body doesn't actually need to utilize the nutrition. Calories are just energy, and if we're not exerting as much energy, it's not 200 calories in, 200 calories out. But we just need to kind of be more aware of what we're doing on a daily basis and meet our nutritional needs accordingly. So like for a lot of my clients who do work from home, we'll implement like getting up 5 minutes earlier and going for a walk outside, or like taking your lunch break, and instead of taking your lunch break for the hour that you have, sitting on your phone for 30 minutes, like go on your phone if you really want to, but go on a walk around the block. Step, or what are they called? Like, I guess walking pads are really, really popular.
Yep.
And I've had a couple of clients be like, they're so expensive. I was like, one, yes, they are. And two, we can get around that. Facebook Marketplace. Go on Facebook Marketplace where you're at and look for a treadmill. There's going to be a $20 treadmill. I can almost guarantee it within a couple miles of you. Go grab that treadmill, put a plank of wood on top of the 2 handlebars. You got a walking treadmill. Like,
Yep.
walking desk. You know, like I took we were on like a call today, like an accountability call. I took my laptop down to my apartment gym and just put my laptop on the apartment gym like little console. I'm just walking. People are doing their workouts and I'm just talking on a Zoom call. You know, like if you want it bad enough, you'll make it work. And I think that's the thing is we all say we're really busy. We all say these things. If we need to like, I know calorie cycling is a thing that I do with a couple of my clients. So like more calories in the weekend, a little bit less during the week so they can be more flexible. We can do step cycling if you need to, if it's that bad, like hit a little bit more on the weekends, a little bit less during the week. As long as we're kind of hitting an average across the week and we're not sitting on our butt 24/7, I think the goal is just more movement and whenever we can do that. A couple of my clients love spin. I had one girl, she's like, I just danced around my kitchen one day and got my steps in. I was like, you go, girl. Like, we
There you
love
go.
that energy, you know, like just figuring out creative ways to make it work for you. But yes, walking pad is going to be my tried and true recommendation. You can get the walking pad specifically on Amazon for like $300, or like a treadmill from Facebook Marketplace for $20, like across the street.
Yeah. I'm currently sitting on my walking pad. I was on the call before our call. I was actually on my walking pad, but I just have that set up here. Um, and I first learned about this back in college. My um, sports nutrition professor, he would explain like I get my steps in by grading papers on a treadmill. Like, wait, what? It's
Oh,
like I would set
yeah.
at a slight incline, the lowest setting. He's like, and I'm just walking for an hour. He's like, all I'm doing is I have my key. I'm just going
Yep.
check, 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 check. He's like, so I can either sit at my desk or I can be a little bit active. He's like, I burn
Yeah.
more calories that way. I'm active. I feel better afterwards rather than feeling like,
More
oh, I'm
energized.
stiff
Yeah.
and
No, exactly.
mentally drained. Like I can have music playing, I can do things, or I can just be moving. It's like, Oh,
Yeah.
that makes so much sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the little things too. Like I had one client who she works from home, I think a couple days a week, but is in the office and still sitting no matter where she is, at home or the office. And she's like, I actually asked the person I was having a meeting with if we could do a walking meeting.
Yeah.
I was like, you're a genius. So she just got up with the person they were having a meeting with, just went on a walk outside, and she was able to do that like 3 times that week, easily hit her steps. Because if you think about it, if you're on the phone, even too, like if you're calling a friend, if you're scrolling on social media, whatever, take a walk around the block when you're on your phone. You'd be so surprised. Or like we watch Netflix for an hour a day. I'm sure most people are on the phone for at least an hour a day, just scrolling or doing whatnot. Walk while you're doing it. Just get a little bit of extra movement in. And that'll also stop you from doom scrolling for 15 hours because you don't want to walk for 15 hours. So a little bit of a win-win.
Yep. That's how I watch most of my Netflix shows. There's like a new
Yeah.
show, I am on the treadmill. It doesn't need to be fast. Like I think that's a
No.
misconception. People think it needs to be cardio. It can just be like 0.6 miles an hour. It can be.
Oh yeah.
That's painfully slow. That is like when I'm doing work, it was like
You
numbers
don't
and
want your
figure.
hands to move too much. Yeah.
Yeah, that is painfully slow. But I find like 1.2 miles an hour is like a good like work walk pace. But that'll be I'll walk between that and like 2 miles an hour while watching a show if I'm not doing cardio. Or I'll
Yeah, I
do
was saying
cardio.
that's what I did with cardio when I was in my cut. Seems like literally ages ago at this point since I was tracking. My goodness. But yeah, I had a series on Netflix, and I actually also watched Kristen Guzman's channel. Like when he was doing a summer shredding, he would come out with new episodes, and like that was my cardio show. Like I would genuinely look forward to cardio because I got to watch Christian's new video, or I got to watch my latest episode of my show. Like that was something I looked forward to, and I know a lot of competitors and people who do a lot of cardio do that. They have their cardio show. And that's just a motivating thing in and of itself to like, I want to watch this show. Okay, well, you have to do cardio like of your day while you're doing it. You know what I mean? And so giving yourself that, I guess, thing to look forward to so it's not super dreadful. I mean, it is if you're doing Stairmaster, like bless your soul. But yeah, it doesn't have to be as dreadful as you think it is if you get something fun to do while you're doing it.
Yeah, and you can make sure the intensity is appropriate by wearing like a heart rate monitor and everything.
Yeah,
because that'll be like I'll have on my computer screen, I'll have my phone up. If I'm doing like I need to be in zone 2, that'll show me my heart rate. Or if you have a Fitbit or Apple Watch, you can do that. Have everything set up, and then be in right intensity you need to be in, so you make sure you're getting the results you want, but also watching the show. And there's been a few times where I'm like, I like ended that episode. I need to see the next episode. Like the next day, I like push my lifting workout, which I enjoy more. But because I want to get that next episode in, and like the next day, like I'm gonna do cardio again.
and like who looks forward to cardio? Not me. But if there's a
Not
good
me.
show, like I will do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, that's the same thing here. Like I've just been walking and I'll either call somebody on my walks around London or I'll listen to a podcast or like listen to some music. And it makes all the difference. Like if I have something to do rather than just absolutely doing nothing, which I also have tried to unplug a lot recently as well and just not listen to anything, just have my AirPods in or read. I'm not a reader, and the fact that I even said that is like mind-boggling, like comes out of my mouth. But I like have gotten some books and I've been reading on the tube and just having time pass in different ways than just scrolling, doom scrolling, like listening to something educational or whatever it might be. Because you're gonna be on your phone anyway. Just make it a little bit more productive. Like we can't really multitask and conventionally, like you're gonna statistically, I guess research wise, one of the tasks always suffers, but walking is so automatic that the other task really isn't going to suffer.
Well, when we're talking about multitasking, what they found is, well, one, there's always going to be something that suffers is just to degrees. Like if you're trying to power walk and then do something like high level cognitive, something's going to suffer. You're either going to walk slower or you're going to like something suffers. But if you're just like a general walk, that's not like it's so automatic. It's not really taking up any brain power, so you can focus. So that was when people will say like you can't really multitask. It's about like usually higher level things. Like I can't create content plus write an email on a totally different thing. Plus be doing like macro calculations. Like if they're all like totally different, they're like you can't multitask that way. But if it's like I can watch or I can say like do content plus wash dishes. I can film content
or brush
plus
your
go
teeth or whatever it might be. Yeah, easy
tasks.
if it's so automatic. But I think that's why walking is so easy to add into
Yeah.
things, because it is obviously so automatic. But yeah, that's something that definitely, just the energy levels that I have when I do go for more walks, better digestion, better, just like you're getting fresh air, truthfully. Like that's made a
Yes.
huge difference for me as well. I just feel like a healthier, happier human, that I get up and I don't have keys to my car. I just go out and I walk to the tube. The tube is about half a mile away from me. So by the time I get there, I sit on there for like half an hour. I walk to the coffee shop that I'm going to. I already have a mile in, and I have done nothing, quote unquote, with my day yet. I just made it to a coffee shop and I've already walked a mile, you know? The gym
Yep.
is another half mile. So half mile there, half mile back. Like that's my warm up. That's my cool down. It's easy to integrate it once you look for ways. And personally, like just stop making excuses, like to put it bluntly. Like if you wanted to make it work, like you would.
It's a lot of times it's just putting the phone down. That was the
Oh yeah.
nicest thing when I went on the cruise was I did not get the internet package. So my phone didn't work.
Oh
My
shoot.
phone was a
They
very
charge you for internet on the cruise?
yeah, because you're in
Dang.
international.
There. I'm in international right now. Yeah, I
Yeah.
am paying an arm and a leg. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not gonna pay for that for a week. Like
Yeah.
I had Lauren kind of take, I'm like, you're in charge of the business while I'm gone for the week. Like when we stopped at islands, we had access. So like I
Yeah.
would get a quick little check and see, make sure things weren't burning down. But for the most part, like when we were at sea for the first day. It was like 48 hours. You were mentioned reading, like I knocked out in a 1 week cruise 3 books. And then
Wild.
we were on like the crappiest cruise that who were we? I forget who we were cruising with, but it was like one of their oldest cruise ships. So it was small and there's not much to do. So it's like I just like walk the track then. It's like
Yeah.
reading and walking. And then they had a gym and I actually worked out. I was like, okay, that was actually nice. And then eating
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. And that's the thing, like you're gonna be more hungry, especially like I did leg day the other day when I got back from Copenhagen. And then I somehow like ended up, I genuinely, this is the other thing. I can't tell you how I hit these steps. I just hit them. I was at like 18K steps for the day. And I was like, I did leg day that day and I hit 18K steps and I was eating so much food. And I was like, it makes sense. The second that you tune into your body and it's giving you the accurate hunger cues, like your body will tell you what it needs. It's the people who don't get accurate hunger cues and are either overworking themselves or not doing any sort of movement. That's the people that we need to kind of, I guess, educate on these things, because I was stuck there for so long too. And it just sucks when you feel like you're doing the things you need to do and you're not getting results, but you could be just not giving your body enough rest and you're too stressed out and you're too all this and pulling back, which sounds like completely opposite, but living more like a European, I guess, for
Yeah.
lack of a better way to put it, like being more intentional with your movement, being more intentional with your food, really listening to your hunger cues, taking time off of work, stop scrolling, go actually getting a cup of coffee instead of ordering Deliveroo, like those kinds of Deliveroo. That's what they use here, Uber Eats, whatever it is in the States. But yeah, like those kinds of things are going to be super helpful in order to get you to the physique, and just not even the physique, but the mind, body, and soul that you want to be at. It's not going to be an overnight thing. And it does come down to priorities though as well.
Yeah. Um, the hunger cues thing's a big one because a
Yeah.
lot of people start working out and they don't expect their hunger to increase. Like all of a sudden, your hunger is going to really increase. Or certain days, like if you have like a dedicated arm day, your hunger is not going to increase that much. But you
Yeah.
do a leg day, like I am ravenous after a leg
Yeah.
day, especially if you start a new program like
Yes,
that.
for sure.
After a few hours after that workout, or the next day, you're like, I can't stop eating.
Yeah. I mean, whenever I do take these like 4-day trips to like whatever, Paris, Copenhagen, Munich, whatever, I don't work out. And that's something also, it's relationship with exercise. Like I don't need to work out every single day of my
Right.
life. Like I can take these 4 days off. Like I'm taking 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I guess, off in the next like month and a half, two, of training, completely off of training, just walking, just moving, just eating, genuinely just eating a lot of food. But the second that I get back and I start doing workouts again, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was hungry before, but like so much more hungry. It's just your body starts telling you when you tune into it, but most people don't even take the time to like actually feel their heartbeat, let alone like tune into their hunger cues. Like
Right.
your heart's beating all the time. We're not just not even paying attention to it.
Yeah. You really don't. I remember the biggest hit I've ever taken to like all of a sudden my hunger cues through the roof. We were hiking in Maine and we decided to hike up and down over two mountains there. And then we accidentally had to hike more because The bus dropped. We caught the last bus back, but we went into town, had to find a bus into town to get us back to the parking lot, then had to walk to our car from. So it was like it was a shit ton of steps plus elevation. And
Yeah.
by the time we got home, and then we're sat down at a restaurant, order our food. I'm like, we had like 3 beers each. This was over the course of time. So before I was like, you were driving
I
like
would be gone.
3 beers each, massive burger, fries, like 2 apps eat. Like we were starving and then finished that like, oh my God, I can't believe we ate that much. But at the same time, I actually don't feel gross because we were like had like a sandwich and some like protein bars along the way. Like you're burning so many calories. We went through like 2 gallons of water in the whole thing because it was literally hiked along a lake, up a mountain, down the mountain. As soon as you got to down the bottom, hike up the next mountain.
And that's all walking. Like we don't even realize. I had another friend too, and he went on like a trip to Washington and did another huge, like 15-mile days typically, and didn't really have much to eat during the day because like, whatever was in his pack and whatnot. Went down to a restaurant, treated himself to a restaurant one day at like one of the bases, and ordered like 3 mains. And the lady was like, "Anybody else joining you?" I was like, "No, it's just me." Like demolished like all the food, ate it so quickly, and just it was gone because you don't realize how much energy you actually do exert from just genuinely moving your body. And it's not okay, let me track that and I burn 200 calories, I can have 200 calories, like no sauces, no like no. When we tune into our body, it tells us what it needs, which I think is one of the coolest things our body does for us, and we just neglect that whole entire fact.
Yep. So I brought up France earlier. So going the opposite direction of sometimes your body doesn't need much food. I have a lot of French cookbooks. So when you make it and like authentically French, when you make the actual portion size, like this makes 6 servings, and you put a sixth of what you made on, you're like, that's not an American portion, is it?
Yeah, no. And I will say the French people, they do walk a lot, but they also, I've noticed in Europe, just in general, the gym culture is not as big as it is per se, like in America. In London, a bit bigger because there's just everybody from all walks of life here. But in like Paris and Denmark, like in Germany, even like I didn't see, if any, many gyms or many people who had that bodybuilding or like powerlifting kind of aesthetic. Like everybody just was not sort of in that mindset of things, which is just a different lifestyle. Again, like it's just more walking and less like gym going and less focus on building muscle and more focus on just like longevity and kind of health and that aspect of things.
Definitely true of you. You see some physique athletes and bodybuilders and powerlifters out of the UK.
Yeah, just
you see less out of everywhere else. Like you can pick a handful out until you get to like you're more like Nordic countries because then they have nothing to do in the winter.
Yeah.
But Germany, definitely there's a more of an outdoor culture because of the mountains there.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of like if you go to Colorado or like the Pacific Northwest, like gym culture is a little bit less there because it's like, well, we just go hiking all the time.
Yeah. And I mean, I know that was what you did with your clients for a while, was like focus on the outdoors and like hiking and things. And I think that's really cool when they can start to bring in hobbies again that they enjoyed in the past back to their exercise routine because they didn't realize it was exercise.
Right.
Like, it's wild to think like, okay, like I was doing so much cardio on the treadmill, but I used to take my dog for a walk. Okay, why can't we just get back to walking? Your dog is your cardio, quote unquote, instead of like slaving away on the treadmill in the gym to burn 200 calories when I'd rather you actually take a leisurely walk with your dog, get your dog exercise, get outside, fresh air, all the things, and you're going to get the same benefits. And we're not focused so much, like hyper fixated on the number that we're burning. Because at the end of the day, like I can't tell you actually how much you're burning unless I set you up to like a whole contraption and like with oxygen and like, no, I'm not doing that. It's stupid to be able to do that for you. Like makes no sense. Why don't we just focus on internal health and like less intense forms of, okay, track everything super accurately, like do X, Y, and Z. I think that can get really restrictive really, really quickly, which is why people avoid macros when in reality it's a tool to get you to the place of food freedom.
Well, what you said, so many Americans are like, we need to see the data, like with the treadmill, like I can see my heart rate, I can see how many calories I burned, I can see the exact distance.
Trust me, I love data, but like not to a fault.
That half of it's inaccurate.
Oh yeah.
Or most of it's inaccurate.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think this treadmill is fairly accurate. Like I'll do a workout and be like hour, and it's like you burned 120 calories, and then I have like
Okay,
Polar
fair.
and like, okay, you burned 450. I'm like, no,
Lies.
no lies. You lie, but people want to see the data versus just like go for a walk. And sometimes
Yeah.
you need data
Yeah.
if you're training to be an athlete. You have a marathon coming up, you have a half marathon or a 10K or any other event. Yes, you need data for training purposes, but if you're just the average person trying to get in shape, like who the fuck cares how many calories
Yeah,
you
that's why we have
burned?
that's why we have a step goal. That's why we have
Yeah.
more like low stakes things. So it's not like so like in your face of tracking everything. Because at that point, your stress is probably through the roof.
Yep.
Therefore, cortisol is up. Therefore, it's just making it harder to lose fat in general. Inflammation is up. We're like on fight or flight all the time. We have no digestion anymore because you're constantly in fight or flight. Like everything is just off kilter if we are so stressed out about hitting everything accurately. So some of my clients who have come to me being so anal about that stuff, I'm like, I genuinely do not want you to track 3 days of the week. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, don't you dare track your food 3 days of the week. And we're going to go from there. Their stress comes down and it just, everything else goes as it should because they just weren't tracking and weren't super stressed out. I'm like, I don't want you to wear your Apple Watch. One girl, she was obsessed with her Apple Watch, like obsessed with it. Told her to take
Yes.
it off, put it in a drawer for like a week. After a week, she's like, I don't want to put it back on. I was like, I don't blame you.
Dude,
Like,
I wore it as a personal trainer. I would like it for my step goal, but other than that,
yeah,
I don't want one because it was so
yeah,
all your notifications and everything. Bzz, bzz, bzz.
yeah.
No.
She was on like super stressed out, on edge all the time, tracking everything that she ate, tracking all of her steps, her cardio, like everything, this, that, and the other. She's like, I'm at a fat loss plateau. She was at a place where her calories were low enough. We did the reverse diet and everything. Like she should have been able to lose fat. The second we eliminated that stressful piece from her, completely inflammation down, like she started losing weight, all the things. We didn't change her food. We didn't change anything about her program. Besides, she just wasn't being hyper fixated on the numbers all the time. We pulled back the reins genuinely, and she started seeing progress. More is not always better, and I think that's something that the just this culture has taught me is less is more in this case. And just like get in tune with your body because if you can't feel your heartbeat right now, like can't feel hunger cues, like you got to get more in tune with yourself.
And then doing things you enjoy, like you
Yeah,
can hike for cardio,
yeah,
or if you can't get out for a hiking, you can do other like I'll watch a Netflix show. After this podcast, I'm going to go walk my dog because I
love
didn't
it.
give her a walk earlier. I'm like, this is supposed to be our second walk. She's getting one walk, and then she'll get a walk when my wife comes home.
I'm excited to get a
But
dog. I will say I need a dog so bad. That's the one thing I'm excited about. Well, a couple things, but that being a big one is when I come home from traveling and like actually can get a home base settled in North Carolina. Like I want a dog. I need a dog. I just do. Man's best friend. Truly best friend.
after the call, I need to talk to you about North Carolina real quick.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there you can just do more things you enjoy. And when
Yeah.
you do things you enjoy, you're not like, oh, I have to do that. Like your stress generally comes down and then you see better results. One, you'll push
Yeah.
yourself harder or you'll do it longer. You'll do it more often, more frequently,
Yeah.
consistently without even trying.
Yeah. If I tell somebody to stop counting reps and do it until they fail, they get more reps than if they actually started counting reps. Like if you do 10 reps and you're okay, I hit my goal. No, you didn't. I tell you your intensity was not there. Do it again and do it 1 or 2 reps shy of failure. You're going to get 12 reps and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like I pushed myself so much harder. Or you're going to up the weight and go get 8 reps and realize, oh my gosh, like this is a lot harder than my 10 reps I was doing and just getting through the movement. Like if we take away the number aspect of it, and I've done this recently in my training as well, just go until it's hard and then go more. And that breeds better results than being so like, oh my gosh, progressive overload every single week, like up 1 rep, up like 5 pounds. Like at some point, you genuinely can't do that. It's about like technique and it's about pushing yourself week to week and like growth astronomically.
Yeah, linear periodization is only so long. Unfortunately, you and I
Literally,
are way past that time.
yeah,
Like your
genuinely. If I
first
could
six
keep on,
months.
yeah, if I could even keep on adding 5 pounds every time I went to go squat, I'd be squatting like I don't even know, a gorilla at this point.
Yeah.
But no, I can't do that because that just isn't how it works. So,
No, I wish it was,
oh, me too.
but
Trying to hit three plates on deadlift. I wish it was that easy, but I've been
yeah,
stuck. A
yeah,
little stuck.
you get stuck after a while. I've switched most of my training over to training to failure. It's
Yeah,
much lower
genuinely.
volume. Much I just go instead.
Go.
I set
You
a goal
just
of like
go.
somewhere between 8 to 12 reps for most
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And if I get above 12, I'm like, next week I bump up the weight. If I get below 8, I'm like, that was too heavy. Or it was like my second set of it. Like last night, I couldn't work out for a week. So like last night I had flies and I did first set was like 10 and then the next set was like 6 after recovery. I was like, okay. It is what it averages out to 8 each. So
Yeah.
that's fine. Next week I'll try to beat it.
And that's the best thing is like once you get this under lock, your hunger cues are going to come back. You can live in food freedom for the rest of your life. You can train to intensity and to failure, all these things, and not have to worry about the meticulous numbers part of it and get so wrapped up in it. And that's not the goal. Like I always tell my clients, like even on like calls, sales calls and things, I don't want you tracking macros at your 60th birthday party like your cake. Like please don't do that. Like I don't want you tracking your wedding cake. I don't want you tracking like anything that's a big event, anything that's 10 plus years down the line. Like we do not need to be tracking that. It's a period of your life. It's an educational period to tell you what your body needs, get your body to the place of trusting you again. And then you're off to the races for the rest of your life. It's just a period. It's not your entire life.
Yeah. I use I'll track macros personally. One to spot check myself when I'm like, I think
and on. Yeah.
I did the other week. I was like, whoa, my fats are way too high. That's why my weight's been creeping up. Like my fats are way higher than I thought. Okay, that's where my extra calories are coming from.
Yeah.
Or I'll use it during fat loss phases because I generally will overeat.
Yeah.
And I would rather and I've done the portion control thing. It just takes too long for me. I'm like, I'd rather just track the macros and get it done faster.
Yeah. But you're not tracking every day until you're
as soon as I'm done tracking, like do my reverse diet, and then I'm like, goodbye. I'll see you next year. Next fat loss phase. I love it. That's how I use it. So we are out of time.
That's
Tell people that it always goes way too fast. Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, so I'm on TikTok and Instagram at Balance Makena, BALANCED. My name is spelled funky, Makena. Yes, it's spelled weird. I know. It's Hawaiian. I need to go visit Maui. It is a beach in Maui. It's Makena Beach. I need to go.
Nice.
See. Anywho, TikTok, Instagram, and then my metabolic assessment, I think, is going to be linked in the show notes.
Yes.
And apply through coaching through that, through the link in my bio. I have so many free resources. I'm going to release phase 1 of my program.
Nice.
Genuinely been putting like 50 plus hours of work into this thing. It's like 260 slides, I think, of going over exact calculations, what you need to do to get results, like case studies, all the things. Phase 1 of my program is going to be released soon, and everybody on my email list and who's applied is going to get first access to that. So releasing that soon. Super excited about it. But yeah, I just want to give more people the chance to be successful with the right information. So we're going to release that.
Awesome. And then you have a podcast as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Every single Monday. Yeah, it's called Made from More. Hopefully also linked in the show notes.
It will be
on there too, and we'll be chatting again sometime soon. But yeah, that's been genuinely so fun. I love it. I'm so glad I did that. And that was January 1st, 2023. So going on almost a year now, which is exciting.
Almost a year. Mine's in November, my 1 year for this podcast.
Look at you.
It's almost been a year.
And it's so fun. Genuinely, it's one of my favorite. It is my favorite social media platform. Genuinely.
Yes.
I love it.
All right. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into today's episode. Make sure to go and check out Makena's social media profiles, both on Instagram and TikTok. But also, reminder, as she dropped it at the end of the episode, but another shameless plug for her here, she also has a podcast. So make sure to go and check out her podcast as well. Since you're already listening to this podcast, I know you like to listen to podcasts. She also has her metabolic assessment you can fill out. That will be down in the show notes. So make sure to go down to the show notes, check those out. And as always, while you're at that, please give the show a rating and leave a review, as that is helpful. I check those every single week and see what you guys like, if the episode resonated with you, or if you disliked it. Just let me know, as I use that feedback to help improve the show. It also helps push the show out so more people can find it.